You know, our plan is to introduce you to different Catholic TV hosts each month here on This Is the Day. And today we have Father Dan O'Connell from We've Got to Talk. We've known each other forever.
We've known each other a long time.
Yeah, forever.
A long, long time.
And you've known Father Reed. Now, he always says you're his pastor.
Yes.
So does that mean you have authority over him right now?
Well, the way it works is when he is at St. Joseph's, I'm the boss. And when I'm in this studio, he's the boss. So it evens out in the end.
So you have to be delicate then. It's very delicate.
Well, we cancel each other out, actually. I think that's what happens.
You just want to be nice to each other at all times. Well, hey, thanks so much. You've always done such a great job.
It's great to be here. It's great to be in the studio.
Yeah, well, you're never in this one. You're usually in Studio B.
Yeah. The Catholic TV living room.
Absolutely, right here. And I am in it, watching the two of you. And
get your coffee.
Well, I realize now that, I have impressions of the two of you. Father Reed kind of gave his away, but, every week we see this.
Yeah. Yes.
Right?
I take abuse.
And then every week we hear, hello, hello, hello. So
that's me. Yes.
Those are my impressions in the morning.
Yes,
they
hello,
get better.
hello.
They get better as I get into the day.
You know what's funny? If I don't say that, and you probably know this from your show, people write in and say, "What happened? Is everything okay?"
Yeah.
And of course, he makes me laugh when he does the cup thing every morning too. Hey, let's get to the very beginning. How did you ever start doing We've Got to Talk at Catholic TV?
Wow. Seriously, I didn't know you were going to ask me that question. It was, I think I had celebrated the TV Mass a couple of times. I was relatively newly ordained, and Father Frank McFarland and Jack Lawless were looking for a priest to host a show that might be sort of attractive for younger people. And they had me come in, and we had some talks and sat down, and we filmed the very first episode, kind of the test episode. What do they call that?
Pilot?
The pilot. That's right. That's the word I was looking for. We filmed the pilot in 1989, and the show started in 1990. So we've been on since 1990.
And it's had many iterations. We know what it looks like now, but can you tell us about some of the iterations?
Yeah, I mean, it started off as not live, it was live to tape, but it was done in front of a live audience. We had an audience of teenage kids from high schools all over the Archdiocese. And it was in that incarnation from probably 1990 to 1996. In 1996, when we were getting ready for the millennium, Pope John Paul II asked that we take each one of those 3 years and zero in on the Trinity. A year of Jesus, a year of the Spirit, a year of the Father, and then a year for Eucharist. So in 1996, we transitioned from in front of the audience to me talking about those themes over the course of the year. We then went back to a live show. It then evolved into me interviewing just one guest without an audience. And then with the discovery of special effects and CGI and all of that, it turned into the show where the show we're doing now, where it opens with kind of a funny comedic scene that lends itself to a theme.
Oh, there you
right
are.
Here,
Yeah, look at you.
Yeah.
For example.
Hey, right in front of the Monsignor Francis T. McFarland Center.
Oh my gosh, are you on a skateboard?
Yeah, what do you do? What are you
going backwards?
Moonwalking?
It's the magic of camera.
You know what's so interesting too is when you started, you and I both, we were the young guys. Remember that?
Oh yeah.
And that's over 20 years ago, obviously.
That's a long time.
Those days are gone.
We're no longer the young guys here anymore. But I remember the show, and what's really thrown me off is people just saw it. You always had a sweater. You always have a sweater, and here you sit.
Well, I wanted to be a little.
I
wanted to be a little formal this morning. I knew we'd be talking about a lot of different things. Not to mention the fact that it's too hot these days for sweaters. So.
Where do you come up with the ideas? Because you always have a theme. First of all, everyone knows that you get lost.
I do.
Or you do.
Even with the GPS.
Yes, you do get lost too. People have to realize that's true.
The GPS has given me many, many news stories because they're not as perfect as they could be either. But in answer to your question, Jay, the ideas always come from the gospel.
Okay.
The ideas always come from the gospel because I think. I was going to say, I believe, but all of us here at Catholic TV believe that what we do is evangelization, and evangelization is the gospel, and bringing that gospel to the everyday events of everyday life, like going to 3D movies, like getting lost, like going anywhere, talking to anyone. The gospel is a part of everything that we do because he's a part of everything that we do. So.
And preaching is so important to you as a priest. I know that, as it should be for all of us. And there's an intersection there.
Yeah, I've been so lucky with my priesthood, ordained 29 years now. 1983. My entire priesthood, everything that I have done has something to do with preaching. My work in all of the parishes that I've been assigned to, my work in the Office of Spiritual Development, where I've been lucky enough since 1993 to be attached to the agency in our archdiocese that is commissioned with renewal and prayer and preaching. Teaching preaching to the permanent deacons in the permanent diaconate office, and certainly my work here at Catholic TV. The show has always been about preaching the Word of God, whether I do it just to the camera or in front of an audience or talking to a guest.
And speaking about the camera, I gotta follow up on this, because I've always felt, and I think you probably appreciate this, it's very intimate. You know, you're talking really to one person at a time.
Yep.
Isn't that true?
Yep. Well, I have to tell you, I was thinking of this yesterday. Last week, I was lucky enough to be invited to be part of a conference out at Notre Dame about preaching. It was a conference for people who are involved in the preaching ministry. And so we did a lot of talking about the new evangelization and what it means to preach the new evangelization and what does it mean to preach the new evangelization, but to speak to people who might have been evangelized already. You know, they had been evangelized before, but somehow they've fallen through the cracks, or they've fallen out of the practice of the faith. The new evangelization is speaking to them. And what I can't think of another vehicle in our archdiocese or anywhere else that can do the new evangelization better than the Catholic TV network, because of what you just said, Bob. We have the great ability to get into people's houses. We get into their living rooms. We talk to them at home. And everything that we do is about reintroducing them to Jesus, the gospel, and hopefully, and the two of you say this all the time because I hear you saying it all the time, getting them back to practice in their own parish churches.
Yeah.
Do you know?
Parish of the Airwaves.
Absolutely.
We've become almost a family member.
Yep.
Talk about great news. Well, we got some great news right here. You know, the People Telly Choice Award here.
May I?
Yes, you won one. Congratulations.
Thank you.
What do you think about that?
This is
It's hefty, isn't it?
There are so many people I would like to thank. Members of the Academy. I just always wanted to say something like that. Yeah, this is great. And it's a people's choice, I guess, which means people really voted for this.
That's exactly what happens. It was online. They had to go in and vote.
It's quite a statement.
I voted.
I was thinking the other day, too. That means that we've got to talk that has been on so long, the longest running studio show in the history of the Catholic TV network, maybe in the history of Catholicism, I'm not sure. But anyway, we've won an award in both centuries. In the 20th century, we won the Proclaim Award. The American bishops in 1997 voted We've Got to Talk the most important Catholic TV show. So that's the 20th century. And now in the 21st century, the People's Telly Award.
The people have spoken.
The people have spoken indeed, and I'm glad they did.
Let me ask you a question. You know, we talk about the new evangelization, and as you know, Father and I always are saying, we come back, we miss you. So what do you say to the people out there? Because you're right, TV, people flip around the stations, they might happen upon this right now. Someone happens upon and they haven't been to church in a while. What do you say to them?
First of all, I think welcome back is always a great way to start. But I like to remind people, and I certainly do in every parish that I've been in, that when you're not there, I know it. The people around you know it. There's something missing. We as St. Paul has written about in his letters so often, we all have gifts, we all have talents, we've all been made by our God to be a unique individual and hopefully a member of his church, which means we all have something to add. We all have something to add. Very often, we can't see what we have to add to the whole thing, but you can see it in me, I can see it in you, and that's truly what church is. A group of people living the Paschal mystery. We all have ups and downs, and we're supposed to be there for one another. And if I'm not there, something is missing. If you're not there, something is missing. So I just like to remind people that we all have an important role.
Well, listen, thank you so much for all you do for Catholic TV.
A joy
Over
and a
20
pleasure.
years,
Yeah.
20 more. We'll just
All right.
keep going.
Okay.
And we'll make sure it's the longest running Catholic show
Okay.
ever.
Sounds
I
good
think
to
it might
me.
be.
And by the way, if people are in the city of Boston,
Yes.
in the historic West End,
Yeah.
or a Beacon Hill section of Boston, I know where you should go to church, in
Absolutely.
St. Joseph's Parish.
St. Joseph's Parish, 68 O'Connell Way, right in the heart of the West End, Beacon Hill section of downtown Boston. We're right next door to Shriners Hospital and Mass General on the other side. And we're waiting for you.
Everyone's welcome.
Yeah,
Everyone's
absolutely.
welcome. We'll be right back with more of This Is the Day right after this.